What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Flyin Style podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co-host, Steven Maslij.
What's up, Matthew?
We are coming back to you guys with another huge win over at Arrowhead Stadium. The Eagles pulled this one out 20-17. It was a little bit shaky along the way, but they did manage to pull it out. It was a defensive battle, which was not expected, to be completely honest, but they look great on that side of the ball. Offense has some things to be worked on. We're going to get into it. But before we do, we are going to get started with a few around the league notes. Maslij, would you want to kick us off on that? Any thoughts that you had around the league this week?
So the Bears solidified themselves as poopy. The Chargers solidified themselves as someone who's decent. The Colts, Danny Dimes, may be legit, maybe not. I don't know. He's looking pretty good.
Darnold this year, our comeback player of the year looking like?
Our new darling, yeah. Your new darling. A couple of key injuries around the league. A bunch of quarterbacks are getting hurt. Joe Burrow, for example, being the biggest, is reportedly out for 3 months, needing toe surgery, which is brutal. Jaden Daniels took a hit. Justin Fields is out. JJ McCarthy is on IR. It's been a very interesting 2 weeks of the NFL. And then
always is, isn't it?
Do you want to keep going with the Cowboys Giants game, which is insane?
Yeah, the Cowboys Giants is one of the best in recent memory. It was an absolute crapshoot for most of the game, and then suddenly in the fourth quarter, you had 8 lead changes and 4 in the final 4 minutes, including a last-minute touchdown from the Giants with 20 seconds left, and then a 65-yard field goal to tie the game from Brandon Aubrey to send it to overtime. It was absolutely ridiculous, and of course, I picked this team for my elimination pool, the Cowboys. So I was thinking I had an easy win going here, and then suddenly it became the wildest game I've ever seen. My heart was pounding through my chest, and I was like, holy crap, this is really wild. But fun divisional game to watch from the outside. Both defenses looked absolutely atrocious, but both offenses absolutely shined. Russell Wilson looked way better than expected with over 450 yards of offense. And Dak Prescott still kind of doing Dak Prescott things. He still throws the ball a lot. Threw the ball over 50 times and threw for over 350 yards. So both sides look good on offense. Defense, like I said, however, something to be a little bit desired.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting toward the end. And then Russ threw that pick just to give the Cowboys a chance to kick the field goal. So, I thought it was going to end in a tie. It was like the overtime was.
I was thinking it might too, honestly. It was getting a little bit scary down to the end there. But other than that one, few other spots to look at. We are seeing the return of our good old favorite quarterback, Carson Wentz. Give it a round of applause.
Carson getting another shot.
Going to see Carson Wentz as starting quarterback again. I'm excited for that. I don't know about you. But
I'm so excited.
Other than that, we saw a lot of the top rookie running backs in this year's draft class who had high hopes. They've kind of been struggling the first 2 weeks. I think that's a key point. Guys like Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, RJ Harvey, Travion Henderson. We're not seeing those guys with quite the immediate impacts that were expected. I wouldn't say, fall off on them, but something to be noted for any of you fantasy goers. They are off to a slow start, but I believe these teams will probably find a way to get them more incorporated and get them going in the game plans. But other than that, not a lot of crazy stuff in the league, more of the expected. You saw the Seahawks, Bills, and Ravens all handle business. The Seahawks-Steelers game was a little bit interesting because you kind of saw it blow up in the middle of it due to a weird new rule with the kickoff rule, with Caleb Johnson not touching the ball, letting it roll into the end zone, and it was picked up for a touchdown being a live ball, despite the fact that he did not touch it. I think most people think that he did touch it and it became a live ball. He did not touch it. That's the new rule. A ball is always live on kickoffs no matter what, and rookie mistake kind of let that game blow up in the team's face there with that unfortunate mistake.
Yeah, I mean, Baker, I'm kind of scared to play him in 2 weeks. He led that fourth quarter comeback drive with 2 minutes, basically the final seconds of the game, winning that versus the Texans. He would look like a dog.
Baker's quietly leading the league in passing stats over the last 3 years. He's nothing to be scoffed at. Baker is the real deal.
Yeah. 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 Packers look kind of legit. They're like the new NFC darling because no one because we're apparently terrible, which we're gonna get into. And
To be fair, I will admit that the Packers do look like the most complete team at the very moment. They played 2 good teams. The defense looks really stout with Parsons in there. Obviously, they've had some young guys kind of step up and fill in their shoes because they have a lot of guys in their defense that I really don't know the names of. But the D line is very solid, and the secondary is holding their own a lot better than I thought they would without Jair Alexander back there. And then over on the offensive side, they're kind of just handling business. I don't think they're doing anything spectacular, but they're doing plenty enough to, with the help of that defense, I think you could say that they're one of the more complete teams out there right now. But with that being said, let's move on to our one and only Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, we saw them win in a 20-17 game against the Chiefs. What did you think about that?
I thought our defense played well. We ran a tush push well. Some new additions with Zadarius Smith playing well, and then Makuba coming to his own, playing his best game as a rookie so far, and one of the best rookies of the week, having that spotlight. Our offense, we ran the tush push well. Did I say that? I'm just gonna keep saying it 7 more times because that's what we did to get to continue drives. Yeah, a lot more like stagnatism throughout the game. We tried to feed AJ a little bit more. He got 8 targets this game, but Hurts didn't complete a pass more than 6 yards in the first 3 quarters, which is a lot of fun. But then we had that meatball or that lollipop to DeMonta Smith, and he got a 50-50 ball. So Jalen finished the game with 101 yards. We still don't have a turnover on the season, correct? Yeah.
That's correct.
So, Patty did some Patty things. Travis Kelce ruined the game for them once again, not taking out any of his players this time, but giving the ball to us to win the game, which is really nice of him. He seems to be very focused on his engagement with Taylor Swift and whatnot. So let's get into the game. Let's just start with this offense because this is what everyone's talking about this week. And just what do you think of the offense against the Chiefs, and how are we going to improve this offense from here?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the glaring problem here. The passing offense is absolutely a problem. They are not spreading the ball out nearly enough. You're not seeing any medium throw routes to the outside, to the middle. I'm not really sure exactly what the problem is. I feel like it's really hard to diagnose this kind of problem without getting to watch film takes of it because we don't, as the public, get to see that. But from what I'm understanding, it's a big mix of everything right now. Obviously, I think that the team not playing in the preseason, per usual, is hurting them. I think they're still a little bit sloppy, still finding their footing. And something to be noted that I was listening to this morning, I was listening to Ross Tucker this morning, and he was talking about the offensive line and the fact that they really haven't looked that good the past 2 games. And surprisingly, the one who has looked the best in those games is Tyler Steen. And the reason for that is because he's played 6 games now. You know what I mean? These other guys are still getting their footing under them, and Tyler Steen is already, seasoned and ready to go because he got warmed up. He did his preseason. So I think these other guys, have to, click back into shape a little bit, get back into the groove, and, find their footing, like I said. And on top of that, the passing attack needs to change somehow. I don't know whether that's Jalen being more confident in letting go of the ball. I don't know if that's the route concepts that we're running. I don't know if it's the play calling. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it's the wide receivers not getting open. Something needs to change, and obviously they're aware of it. It's being talked about behind closed doors. They're not ignoring that fact. They obviously know that it's not going to be sustainable to win games with 100 passing yards. However, we also understand that this offense does a really good job of doing what it takes to control a game and to keep the ball in their hands and not let anything drastically change the outcome of the game, aka not turning the ball over. They don't make mistakes. And because of that, they're able to control the game in a way that lets them win with a lackluster performance. It's what they did a lot of last year, and it's what they're doing now. And I understand that you can't really get complacent and say, oh, they're winning games, that's all that matters. But at the end of the day, that is what matters. They are winning games, and they're doing what it takes to win. What's frustrating is that it feels like they could be making it a lot easier on themselves, and they're leaving a heck of a lot on the table based on what they have to offer. You cannot have this talented of a team and not use them to their full advantages. And you're just wasting talent. And not only that, you're pissing people off. Not only the fans, you're pissing off AJ, you're pissing off Devontae. And although Devontae probably won't be a diva about it, he's absolutely getting pissed off too. And, you don't want to see this kind of issue tear apart a team because it's something that seems silly and honestly comical at this point in football, considering where passing has been in the NFL for the past 25 years. I can't remember the last time I saw a team struggle to get over 150 passing yards. And I'm glad that our team is so talented that we can overcome that. But I can't see us winning that whole way the entire season. And if you want something to change, you got to fix the passing game first. And I do think that starts with Jalen being willing to throw the ball. I think that he's got to be willing to get the ball out of his hands. Not be necessarily willing to commit turnovers, but be fearless in throwing the ball. And we talked about this a little bit last week, and it's very hard to put into words. But I see guys who we don't consider top 15 quarterbacks around the league dropping in balls on, corner routes and posts and digs and outs and, spreading the ball around the field, getting the ball 15 yards downfield, 10 yards downfield, 25 yards downfield. I know Jalen Hurts is capable of doing that. Why am I only seeing him throw the ball 5 yards? I don't know whose fault that is, but it needs to change, certainly, for this team to be what it can possibly be. Sorry to go on a rant for so long, but...
No, you're good. I mean, part of it is that every time we go into shotgun, they know we're passing the ball. Every time we're under center, for the 14 plays we ran under center, we had 14 runs. From the 11 plays from pistol, we ran 10 runs in one pass. From shotgun, we ran 33 plays, 26 number passes, 7 runs. It's just a very predictable offense, and it's kind of just they don't find a flow. They're like, okay, we're gonna feed AJ, and then they go to him the entire drive. Like, okay, I get it, I love it, but like, I get you want to get him involved and get him going and everything, but it's like the next play, like it feels like you sitting on the couch knows what's coming, and it's kind of frustrating just seeing they have no rhythm, no like deception of like what's going to happen here. And it's hard to put in words like you're saying, but we need to start.
It feels like to slowing down this offense right now, it's just sending an all-out blitz every single play. Because in that regard, you can slow down Saquon, and in that regard, Jalen, who has been having trouble making decisions, is not getting the ball out quick enough to anybody. So, like, every time I see this all-out blitz happen, I see absolute panic from everybody. The offensive line struggles to try to pick up everybody. I understand that it's not easy. Jalen immediately starts to scramble the second he sees it. And we have nobody just like short coming across or like a quick slant route that's like an immediate catch the ball, snap and boom. Like, why do we not I feel like it's not rocket science that there's plays to beat blitzes. There's plays to beat, loading the box. There's plays to beat nickel coverage in the back. Like, it doesn't feel like we mix our play calls up or use our play calls to set up other ones, which I've complained about for a lot of years now because we've been mixing and matching offensive coordinators for how many years over. And it feels like we do the same thing all the time where we don't use our plays to set up stuff. Like, you have a running back like Saquon Barkley and a running quarterback like Jalen Hurts, and you're not using the read option. You're not using play action passes. You're not using a first down run and then a second down play action with a little bootleg out to the right to just get a quick 6-yard dump off. Like, where are the rollouts? Where are the play actions? Where are the deep balls after a play action? Why are we not using these plays to bounce off of each other? Why are we just it feels like it's so one-dimensional, and we're stuck in this little 5-yard bubble that we have to operate our offense in. And really frustrating considering how much talent this team has and the fact that they should be every defensive coordinator's nightmare. Like, nobody should know how to handle the Eagles, but they're forcing themselves to be one-dimensional, and I don't really understand why. So I really hope that they get that figured out going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. On the bright side, our defense played very well, other than letting up that long bomb to what's his name, Thornton.
Yeah, and honestly, that's not a huge deal to me, just because those kinds of things are bound to happen every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, other than Adoree Jackson running into Reed on that one play, he didn't
Yeah, I
play
know the
that.
one you're talking about.
He doesn't. He gets too much hate, dude. Everyone hates him. Everyone needs to find a player that they hate on this Eagles team. That's what we do every single year when we're not. Everyone's an all pro and the best ever to exist. I understand he's not the best corner in the league, but it's. I feel like he's comparable. Like, we don't. It's not a sack of potatoes. He made a couple plays that even hit a ball down and the guy still caught it. But I'm done with the Adoree Jackson slander. I don't think he played great. I just don't. I just need him not to be horrible. I just need him not to get burnt. And he didn't. He does. I think he played fine this game. And I'm not saying I'm not worried about it, because this Rams team will actually test us with maybe the best wide receiver duo that will play this year. But I don't know. I feel like there's too much hate on Adoree, and that's just my take. I don't love him. I'm not a fan of him, but everyone just loves to hate this man. But
I can understand where you're coming from, and I can admit that I've been on the Adoree slander train. I understand there's things that we don't understand as fans as well, in terms of how they game plan against the team, how they want Adoree covering. Not to mention, he went against two of the best receivers in the league in the first two appearances we saw of him. And then this game, you get to see him go against possibly the worst wide receiver core, at least at where they stand, in this game, that we will see all year. And he did do better. You're absolutely right. And he made some plays. I know he had a few goofball situations, but other than that, I think he's doing fine. I think the issue is just that we know that it's going to be an attacking point for every team. And it's hard with Adoree because he plays so far off of everybody that he lets things come to him. So it's just like it sucks watching them kind of pitch and catch while Adoree's kind of just blanketing it in. Like, he's not really doing anything to stop it. He's just trying to prevent it from being the big play, which is, again, probably a game plan thing, but frustrating to watch as a fan. And you know how it goes. You do kind of have to throw the blame at somebody, and it's tough not to see the hole there and think that's an easy place to go ahead and get better at. Like, if there's any spot that we could upgrade, that would probably be it. Especially after we brought in Zadarius Smith, and like you said, saw a pretty immediate impact from him, and feels like you might be able to throughout the year. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. He's obviously a little old. We'll see if his health holds up, but I don't know. I'm with you that I don't think that any player should be getting hate. I think Philly fans are way too quick to do that. But at the same time, I think it's an obvious hole for other teams to, exploit. And it's frustrating to watch it unfold. And it's not his fault. He's trying his best, but, it still sucks to see it happen.
Yeah. I mean, who else could do a little bit better is that all-pro D tackle that we have not hustling on some plays. His name's Jalen Carter. A lot of Patty Mahomes runs, he took plays off. He is not trying his absolute hardest. And I'm not saying it's hard to put myself in his shoes. Maybe he was hurt. People said he grabbed his wrist and stuff. I just feel like it's an excuse. I don't know what's up with him. Fangio said he's out of shape. There's just some plays, especially the one I sent you today, where he's literally playing patty cake with two linemen, and I just can't.
That's not acceptable for an NFL player.
You just can't be out there.
That's the kind of stuff you see in little tyke football, not the best of the best.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't have excuses for him. There's no excuses if you want to be the best player in our defense to be doing that. And like, that's just horrible. Like it's, and obviously, I mean, he had 1 tackle and 1 assisted tackle. Like that's what he did the entire game. And I'm
Yeah,
not.
he's virtually useless until he gets in shape, which is insane considering he's supposed to be, like you said, supposed to be your best player. And it's maybe he's one of the reasons, not specifically him, but maybe some of these young guys got a little out of hand with their Super Bowl celebrations, and that's why the team is so very, insistent on holding that mentality and being, embodying that mentality of we don't care anymore. That was last year because, clearly it seems like Jalen Carter let himself get too loose and too relaxed. And now he's not in the best shape of his life. And he came out and embarrassed himself in week 1 and then came out and embarrassed himself in week 2. And this is a contract year for him. I don't know if he forgot, but
I think he alrea's counting his money in his pocket, which is not there. So
it's not there. And every week that he does this, I guarantee you that money is floating away little by little. So I guarantee unless he picks it up pretty quick that Howie's going to consider whether or not he should trade him away for the value that he can get for him or, give the guy what he deserves because we obviously want that man here. We want that man to be the best that he can possibly be and be the player that we all expect him to be. But if he's going to keep acting like this, then I don't want a cancer in the locker room either. Not to mention, I don't want somebody that's giving a half-assed effort.
On the flip side of that, I just want to mention one more guy before we continue. Jordan Davis. I know we spoke about him preseason. Best shape of his life. He had 3 tackles, 2 assisted, and then 2 pass deflections. He looks like he's playing his best ball that he's played since he got here. I love seeing Jordan Davis like playing well and trying approaching his potential.
Two separate mentalities in the contract here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He literally lost so much weight. He's playing out like he's playing his best. And then you watched the most talented guy in Jalen Carter, who sometimes I think like maybe some guys were born with too much talent because they just live off that at times. Like even the comment like earlier this year of like Trotter saying he doesn't even know how to play D tackle. He's just like good. Like maybe he doesn't study. There's
he probably doesn't put in a lot of work. He probably is naturally gifted. So
many little things that just like you just hear about Carter, and it's just kind of making me like
it's making him hard. It's making it harder to like him. I will not say that there's any question what role he fills for this team and what kind of talent he is on the football field. But we are trying to build a culture of winning football in Philadelphia. I mean, not we. I shouldn't say we. The Philadelphia Eagles are trying to build a winning culture over there, and being on a team, it's really hard to actually commit to that culture if not everybody's on board. And clearly, Jalen Carter is not right now. So, and it's tough with this team because there's not a lot of old veteran guys on the team left anymore. There's a few, and there's guys that I'm sure will step up and that have stepped up and talked to Carter and told him to chill out. But this is where you got to see veteran leadership step up and take some control and tell this guy to get off his ass and figure it out.
Yeah, and it's going to matter a lot in this Rams game coming up because their offense has been clicking. In week 2, they were clicking very well against this the Tennessee defense. That is really not the problem with that team. The Tennessee defense was decent last year. I know like they got some guys still, but the Rams put up 33 on them. I know the Texans, that was a week 1 start, but the Rams are really looking forward to this game. They really thought they should have won that game last year. Obviously it was a snow game, and then in the regular season we blew them out of the water. But we need all hands on deck. We do need to play better if we're going to continue to win games. Obviously, like, yay, we won. I know, and it's hard. It's like as long as we win, it's fine. But it's just when you lose, then all this starts adding up and piling up, and it's just glaring holes that you see. Like it's only the first 2 games. We're not going to overreact.
There's a difference between being mad and being critical.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad at the way the Eagles are playing right now. They are winning football games, and they are incredibly talented. So the way they're playing, they're capable of winning games against any team in the league. you just saw that against the Chiefs, who, although it seems like they're going to struggle this year potentially, that's a team that's been at the top of the league for years now, and we just beat them playing some of what we would say is some of our poorest ball on offense we could see. So, that in itself should, and going into Arrowhead in a game where they want revenge and getting that win on the road, all that matters. Like, we should still be praising the fact that they were able to do that, but it doesn't mean you can't be critical of what this team can get better at and what they can do to improve from this point, because they are certainly not at their best. So, I think it's fair for not only fans, but, like media outlets to hold them accountable for what is expected of them, because, this is a team that could be giving you one of the greatest shows on turf you've ever seen, and they're leaving 3/4 of it on the bench, like, we want to, like, as fans, we want to see them thrive and see them be the best they can be. And like I said, they're not at that yet. So I feel like it's fair to just, hold them accountable.
Yeah, and even this Chiefs team can make excuses. They're missing their top 2 wide receivers. Even Hollywood went out in the first quarter, but he came back. They have virtually zero run game. Kareem Hunt's like basically their lead runner, but Pacheco can't get anything going. Like, they can make us. They're not playing their best right now either, and they can make excuses all they want. So I'm not even valuing them at like what the Chiefs could be and what we could be. I feel like if we ever met later down the season fully healthy, it's only going to be harder.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we got a big game this week. 2-0 Rams coming to the 2-0 Eagles. This game is a 1:00 start in Philadelphia. As I just mentioned, the Rams are coming off a win against the Tennessee Titans, 33-19. Matt, what do you think about this game, and what do you think of this Rams team coming into the Lincoln Financial Field?
Well, I just spent a lot of time being negative and talking about all the critical things that I had to say about the Eagles. So I'm just going to come out and say that we are the boogeyman for the Rams. I don't think that I don't think that they have. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it. I have a feeling that we also get kind of juiced up when we play the Rams for some reason. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but I just have a feeling that, like, especially after, like, the crap talk from
Jared Verse.
From Jared Verse last year, and the hypeness of it, and that being the closest matchup we had in the playoffs last year. I think both teams are excited about this game. But at the same time, and to be fair, I'm basing this mostly off last year because we're still only 2 weeks into the season this year. But in the 2 games that I watched last season, I felt like the Rams didn't really stand a chance in either of them. And the only reason they were that close in the playoffs was because of the snow and the weather. And I think it affected both teams. And to their account, they played very well. They played with a lot of fire, and it kept them in that game. I think that we almost deteriorated and they elevated, which made it a more even match, if that makes sense. But I didn't think the Rams were on the same level as us, and I think that statement still stands, in my opinion. I think that Stafford is a little bit older. I think he's, despite how good he is as a quarterback, I think that occasionally he's still prone to mistakes. I think that, he is somebody that's fearless in letting go of the ball. So, like I said, sometimes that turns into some mistakes, and hopefully we can capitalize on something like that. I know they have a very good wide receiving core, which is going to be difficult, but their running game has deeply been struggling this year despite having a good running back. So it kind of makes their offense a little bit more one-dimensional, and I hope that, Vic Fangio can find a way to bottle up those receivers and make it a little bit tougher on them. And on the other side of the ball, like I said, you got to see more passing out of the offense. I think you got to see them kind of spread the ball around more, get it deeper downfield on, an everyday given play, not just, trying to chuck the ball, not just 5-yard passes, and then one deep shot. I want to see, some 10-yard passes, 12-yard passes, 15-yard passes. Give me that middle ground. And, if you do that, then you can just let the Rams killer loose and Saquon Barkley and just let him do his thing.
So, what's going to happen, Matt?
What's that?
A.J. Brown's son's actually on the Rams, if you didn't know. His name's Emmanuel Forbes Jr.
Boy.
He's going to be starting on the outside. The Rams. Witherspoon just got put on IR, and the other corner is Durant, I think. But when Emmanuel Forbes, if he ever gets man-to-man with A.J. Brown, and that ball is not a 50-50 ball all the way down the field, because he owned that man in Washington. And this is a first-round pick that just doesn't have the size of A.J. A.J. owns him. He actually has like a dog tag for him in his locker. Not actually, but I would think he would, because he's like a little baby. So if AJ doesn't get going this game, I think it's a lost cause. So and he's never going to get going. I'll be completely honest. Like I liked it, and that's a
drastic take, but I get your point.
A little drastic. However, I do like Kitchens and Curl as their safeties, but their corners, we are very exploitable. And if AJ cannot, if he can't get going this game, there might be a little panic for AJ Brown. I'm just saying that's what I'm putting out there.
There is certainly still reason for concern in seeing them play this way, because this is, again, eerily reminiscent of the 2023 season, where you come into the season with a new offense coordinator and Brian Johnson. You kept it in house. You see the play calling look a little bit bland. You don't know whether it's the quarterback or the play caller. Fans are in disarray. You're still winning games. You're 9-1, 10-1. Still looks great, but the whole time fans are sitting there like, I don't know, it doesn't look good. And then suddenly it all fell apart. So, I don't want to drastically take any approach yet. You got to give this team time to find their ground. But I also don't feel like this, like we said before, that this version of the Eagles is sustainable. So, we really do need to see them get going in the passing game. I genuinely, I know we talked about the fact that stats don't really matter. I need to see Jalen get over 200 yards in the next 2 games, or I'm going to have a problem.
He will. It's just, Nick Sirianni's not a great play caller, and that's who's calling the plays right now. And you can't tell me anything different, because it's an in-house hire, same exact thing, where Sirianni still has the power. I know it's Sirianni just being evil and an evil mastermind of holding these guys back. He's telling Jalen, don't turn over the ball. Don't turn over the ball. Just be very, very careful, okay? Just think. No, I don't need him to be dangerous at the ball. We just need to have some type of play where when they line up, if you pause the play and me and you sat there for 2 minutes, we would know what play it was. And then we would press play, and then we would know what play they were in. It's just ridiculous. And it just can't happen.
I can't watch Danny Browning and, Mac Jones out there plunking away first down passes every other pass, and then watching our supposed top 5 quarterback in the league struggle to get the ball past 5 yards. It drives me absolutely insane. And again, I don't want to put it on any one person yet, because I don't really know whose fault it is. My gut is telling me that it's actually mostly Jalen Hurts' fault right now. And to be fair, I do think that part of that is the coaches telling him to not put the ball in harm's way, which, holds him back a little bit. But at the same time, I think Jalen is really quick to move on from his reads rather than just try to push the ball in there. And I need to see Jalen play with some like, not with poise, but with confidence that he's going to put the ball where it needs to be.
Yeah, and it's fine. He's fine. Like, it's really hard to say this when you're winning, and when he's even talking smack to Chris Jones, where Chris is like, yo, we held you for 100 yards. You only passed for 100 yards. And he says, shut the F up. We won the game. Like, I love that from Jalen. And I love winning football. But it's like, it's so hard to just put your – well, no, it's not hard to put your finger on it. It's do better. This team is better. This entire offense is better. Our defense playing well, but this is going to be the best offense we faced yet. And I'm excited for it. But let's get into, I guess, how do you think this game's going to go / score prediction wise? What are you looking at?
It's always tough. I feel like we always float around the same score predictions because we always expect a lot out of this team and then end up seeing a little bit less out of them than we usually expect. I know that I always am a high score kind of guy because I always expect, again, more out of this offense than I get. But I think I'm going to stick with it again this game. I really think that they have the Rams number in my mind. That could easily change this week, but I'm going to say they're going to go with a 31-21 win over the Rams.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to give a lot of explanation there. That's just a guess.
Just a guess. Love it. It's gonna be 45-27. Our offense is gonna come alive, and it's gonna be everything that we wish and hope for. AJ is gonna have over 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Saquon's gonna rush for 150. He's gonna break out a couple of long ones, and it's all gonna be good and jolly, and we're just gonna have a good time, just crushing this Rams team. That's what I would love to tell you. My actual prediction is gonna be 32-28. I think this game's gonna come down to just Jake Elliott's a great field goal kicker, which is awesome.
It's great to see that he got his confidence back, especially because I can admit that I was one of the first people, not first people. I didn't hate him at first. I tried to give him his time, but by the end of the season, I was certainly one of the ones that thought he was ready to go. So I can admit my wrongs in saying that, Jake, you have found your confidence again, and I appreciate you, sir. Because I never wanted to hate you, truly. I wanted to love you through every second of it, but you were getting tough to defend.
Yeah. He's doing great so far throughout the season. It's been great. And he hit 58 yards in both games so far. That's cool. But my actual score is going to be 31-27. I think we're going to go up early, and I think we can control this game. I think it's our game to lose. And like you said, if we can control them in the passing game, I don't see us losing this game. We have to get to Stafford. He's not a very mobile guy, as everybody knows, but he can take shots. He can rip it down the field, and he's not afraid to take the shots to Puka and Devontae Adams. And as much as I was defending Adoree Jackson before,
he's gonna have his work cut out for him this game.
He needs to step up, and we need to have a safety over top whoever is on that side, because Adoree cannot make, if they do even little pitches to Puka, Puka's going to shed Adoree's tackles every single time, and it's going to be brutal to watch. We're going to need someone flying out there immediately if it's starting to his side, and he needs to step up and play halfway decent, because or else if he doesn't, it's going to be a bloodbath on his side, and he's gonna get cut from Philly by the fans. Everyone already hates him, just waiting for him to mess up. And I'm telling you right now, like, as much as I try to defend him earlier in the show, everyone's waiting for him to make a mistake. And once he gets burnt, which he probably will at least once, because it's not his.
People will be out there with their pitchforks and torches.
Yeah. So I really hope AJ has a big game. I hope Saquon actually gets able to get going. I love how he's picking up. He's picking up, like, when he has room, he always seems to find his 8-yard gains and everything.
Yeah, listen, he's doing exactly what's expected of a good running back. Obviously we're holding him to a standard of last year, which was one of the most incredible rushing seasons ever seen. But he's picking up five yards a chunk almost every time he touches the ball, despite the fact that he's not getting going the way that we expect him to. So, seeing him get 80 to 90 yards and a touchdown every game is never going to be bad in my book.
Well, it's so much more impressive when the entire other team is trying to stop the run. Like, that's their entire focus. And that's the entire reason why we discussed this earlier, why after 2,000-yard season, it seems like running backs don't do as well. It's because it's like, oh, let's stop this guy.
Yeah,
which people did in the playoffs and everything.
Point the offense.
Yeah, and people did that in the playoffs and everything. But if we don't get the passing game going, there's never going to be Saquon going for 200 yards in a game again. It's just not possible. It's just simply not possible without two dimensions of the offense. And as much as I love our line, and we need to start passing the ball down the field. We need to have some concept of, like, a passing game. It's been abysmal. It's been whatever, insert negative word there. It's thankfully we're not turning the ball over. But Matt, could you imagine we turn the ball over in that Chiefs game once? Like, that's what Patty's lost on. Like,
you don't win these kinds of games playing this way if you turn the ball over even once.
No, look at the Cowboys and Chiefs. We got 2 big red zone stops and 2 big red zone turnovers. That's the reason we're 2-0. Like, it's in order, like, if we make a mistake and they don't and they like they're gonna win, and that's a brutal way to play a football game because we're such a
Again,
better
like you
team
said,
than that.
to their point, to be fair, it's exactly what they asked of Jalen. It's why they tell Jalen not to put the ball even close to harm's way, which to me is playing way too safe. I think you're leaving way too much on the table by doing it that way. But I understand their thought process. I understand that it's been winning games. They haven't lost a game in 20 games. So, I mean, that's something to be understood. But it's frustrating. Like, again, we're a broken records right now. It's frustrating to see them feel lackluster. So, all we can hope for is that they can, find that passing offense, kind of find a groove. Because as soon as they find that passing offense once, they'll find their footing.
Yeah.
And they'll see something in that explosion of offense that's like, okay, we can start exploiting defenses this way. So hopefully this is the game that we see them pick up their offensive passing game. Hopefully the defense can stand up to what we expect them to be able to do. And this is going to be a real test for them. Obviously the first week they had their struggles without their key player. And then last week they, grinded out a tough, hard-fought game, but it came down to the wire and came close. And you can expect, relatively similar results out of this one. So they're going to have their work cut out for them on the defensive side. Offense is going to have to step up, and this is going to have to be, a full effort from everybody to get the win in this game. This is a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. Is there any games that you're looking forward to, looking at the slate that you wanted to talk about? I know there's the biggest game of the week is Monday night. It's going to be the Lions and Ravens, which will be a potential another barn burner if we get even close to the Bills Ravens. That would be a crazy.
What, you're not excited about Buffalo Miami?
Dude, I am, but I'm more excited for the Bengals and the Vikings for Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz.
It's actually funny you say that because I was gonna say to not sleep on that game because they're teams that like have talent around them, but obviously have two backup quarterbacks into that game. But like,
it's gonna be fun.
Could be big for both teams, so they both need to win.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. There's a couple dog poop. What's the dog poop game of the week for you?
Dog poop game of the week. I'll take a quick glance. Probably Houston, Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I'm gonna go Steelers Patriots because Cardi B confirmed he's a child with Stephon Diggs, and he's gonna be unfocused, even though he hasn't done anything this season anyway. So
no, he isn't. Also, side note, while I'm looking at these scores, not the scores, the schedule for this week, it also shows the ticket prices for the as low as price for each game.
No way.
Yeah, wouldn't you know that the Eagles games are like $100 more than everybody else?
How much is the Panthers game?
The Panthers game is tickets as low as $47. Jacksonville's is as low as $32.
I bet you can find it for cheaper.
The Eagles are as low as $200.
That's a lie.
That's without fees, buddy. Don't worry.
I forgot. Anyway, I know we're just getting off track and talking, but yeah, dude, I'm excited, and I guess we both think we're gonna walk away with a win. We both sound a little bit shaky.
It's hard to hold confidence in the team right now with the way they're playing, but at the same time, it's hard not to have confidence in a team we haven't seen lose in almost a year. So this team is a team with talent enough to beat everybody. I don't think there's any given week we're gonna walk in here and expect a loss. So, don't come in here expecting us to have a bold take and say that they're going to lose this week. We might, but, it's going to be pretty rare, to say the least. So, this team is capable of beating every team in the league, and they should. But we're still going to come on here and talk about our concerns and talk about whether they can overcome them or it's something that we're just going to have to deal with. So, I think I'm excited. I'm certainly excited for this one. I think this is going to be the first real test. Not that the other two games weren't, but we kind of knew what we were getting in the other two games. This one's going to be a little bit harder. So we'll see how it goes. And we will obviously be back with you guys next week to give you the review of the game as well as the preview of next week's game. So if you guys like this video, please make sure to like in the corner. We appreciate you guys. And if you enjoy our content in general, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We come up with weekly review updates. Like I just said, we will be back with a preview of next week's game as well as addressing the week prior. And we will do this around the league bit that we started the episode with. So stay tuned for that. We'll always give you a little bit of around the league news before we get started. So thank you guys again. We always appreciate you for your views, your likes, and your subscribes, no matter what. Thank you guys for taking in our content. And we hope to see you guys back again next week with another big win, hopefully. And we will see you soon. Go Birds.